Johnny Nelson, MBE. Thank you for coming on the podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you on.
Great to have you on today.
Yeah, pleasure's all mine. You've actually walked me through memory lane walking into the studio. I'm a Sheffield boy, born and bred.
Yeah.
And this part of Sheffield we're in where the studio is, this was my stomping ground. It's where, the ABC cinema just across the road. If you're from Sheffield, you know what I'm talking about if you're a certain age. The fast food place, I think it's KFC just up round the corner. That used to be called Wimpy. The Sheffield Market was down there. So it's like, I really feel old because you guys are thinking, what's he talking about? Well, this place is, it's Sheffield. Nice little spot.
When we describe this to people, we just say it's near the vape huts. That's our generation's version of what you're talking about.
So I actually like the little link you've got. Nice little sweater setup.
Johnny, you were part of 2023's New Year's Honours List. Yeah. How does your MBE weigh up against your world title?
They're two different feelings, two different values. The world title, capturing a world title, as far as I was concerned, it's me paying something back to Brendan, something I couldn't buy, borrow, pretend to have. No matter what I'd have done, there was no bigger accolade I could give Brendan than actually winning world title because of my humble beginnings. Getting the MBE, again, it's another tribute to Brendan because without him, I wouldn't have even been considered for it. Without his mindset, without his tutorage, without him being in my life, it would never have happened. So again, anything that makes people remember how amazing this man was, I'm very comfortable giving homage to that.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because my mentor Lee Duncan was also mentored by Brendan Ingle, and it seems that Brendan had this magical effect. It was like he had gold dust. That this effect that he had on all of these young men, and I'm sure young women too, who came down to the gym. What was it about Brendan that made him so special and made him not just a trainer, but everyone describes him as being their mentor?
Well, it makes me smile when you say my mentor, Lee Duncan, because I was kind of his mentor. And so it makes me like, go on, Lee, good lad. Because again, Lee was a smart student that actually got it. He understood what had to be done. He understood the importance of listening. That's all it took. You didn't have to be a rocket scientist. You just had to listen and believe in the process. And the process was, Brendan always said, there's so many nuggets I could bring out for why his students were the ones that listened succeeded. Yeah. And when you see all the champions that turn out of the gym, and I'm talking our gym alone, I think we produced 6 world champions. Mm-hmm. We produced 16 British champions, 8 Commonwealth champions, 10 European champions in that little gym alone in Winkerbank.
Yeah.
Compared to any gym in England, or even in Europe, it's never been so successful. And I mean from scratch. Yeah. So they're the champions we're talking about. But then when Brendan got his funeral, and it was at the Sheffield Cathedral, thousands of people were outside. And there were so many people saying, Brendan, help me. And I'm like, how did Brendan have time to even meet you? Because he was a married man with 5 kids. He had us as fighters and in the gym. And he had our family problems as well. But still, he had time to help others. So the champions that he produced are the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. The real champions were the people that he helped young boys turn into young men, women turn into young girls turn into young women. Helped them to taught. He taught them things in life that you don't learn in school. And he always said to me, and I tell a lot of people this now: schools teach you to remember. Brendan taught you to think. And there's a big difference there. Yeah. You can go to you because I can come across so many people that would remember so much more about the history of boxing. This happened in 1967, round 7 in Houston, Texas. Blah. You've got amazing memory, but you've got to be able to think. You've got to be able to think on the spot. Thinking is about living. If you can think on the spot and you can think right, you can adapt. That is what gets you through life. That is what makes you the person, the individual you are. And that's what Brendan taught us to do. He taught us to think. And my education started when I left school. Yeah. School was to meet my mates. I enjoyed going to school to meet my mates. My mum would say, Johnny, you want to go to school today? I'm like, yeah, okay. I had a choice.
Yeah.
At school to meet my mates, I had no qualifications by the time I left school.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a fighter. I could cause trouble in an empty room, but I couldn't back it up. And but meeting Brendan, he got me to channel who I was as an individual.
Yeah.
I couldn't fight. I was like people said I was a coward. I just thought, well, I don't want to fight. And my mindset in regards to when I look at other fighters and how they fell into boxing, it's completely different to mine. Is completely different to theirs. They want to fight because they want to hurt somebody. You know, I did it because all my friends were from the gym, and that was it. So to be in the gym, the downside of being in the gym, as far as I was concerned, was having to box. You understand?
Yeah.
I want to go with my mates, but I had to box as well.
So I was gonna say, is that how you ended up actually going there in the first place? Was it just through friends and all that? Or
To make friends.
Yeah.
But to make friends, because when I left school, our school was Notre Dame.
Pretty close to us, to be fair.
So Notre Dame used to be on the first year to the third year was just off West Street. The third from the fourth year upwards was in Oak Brook in
Ranmore.
Ranmore, yeah. So that's where it was. So you'd go, and it was run by nuns initially.
What year was this?
Yeah, so we were the second year guinea pigs.
My grandma from Doncaster, she actually used to travel to Chef to go to Notre Dame. Because did it used to be? Was there like a girls only girls?
It was an all girls school. It was an all girls school. So we were the second or third year guinea pigs when it comes to boys in the school. So that's when it opened up, and I'm assuming it was for finances to get government money into the school. So they picked a certain group of individuals from areas of Sheffield, deprived area of Sheffield. I'm assuming to tick the box to say I was one of those kids to fortunately go into school. So our school was run by nuns. So you had to get one or two people that weren't nuns to deal with the influx of boys. So initially, it was like the ratio was like 8-2, you know, as in boys. Like, it was full of girls.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn. So, but the nuns, they were on your case. Man.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They didn't leave you alone.
They don't mess about, do they?
No. We had a. There was one teacher. We called the Sister Mary Bulldog. She was proper stocking, and so now they understand they've got to deal with boys, and some of us boys are from a rough area. She'd come in if there was a scrap. She'd get you both in front of you. She'd say, "Who threw the first punch?" Before you can answer, she'd go whack and punch you in the chest, and then punch the other one in the chest. And you're like, you know. So, but then when you got to like the third and fourth year upwards, you know, they had male teachers in to give you the cane.
Right.
Now this was school. So I went to school because my mates went, but when I finished school, some of my mates, you know, the mates and friends I'd made were from different side of Sheffield.
Yeah.
So while I was back in the hood, I was back in I'm originally from Crooks, moved from Crooks down to Upperthorpe. And back in the day, it wasn't the nicest of areas then.
Yeah.
And so my mates weren't from there. And my mates were, you know, the mates I had like Nonnas in Sheffield. Maurizio, he owns a place called Nonnas in Sheffield.
Yeah, on Ecclesall Road.
Yeah, on Ecclesall Road. That was my mate. He was my mate. You know, they come from money, man. So when we left school, I'm like, what am I gonna do now? So I had to make friends.
Yeah.
I had to, you know, I had to go out and actively make friends, because when you left school, what were you going to do? Mm-hmm. And so my brother went to the boxing club, and I followed my brother to the boxing club to make friends.
I think the boxing club is a great place, especially for a lot of young lads and stuff that don't know what they're doing. I think it's a good place to just meet friends anyway.
Yeah, to create discipline, to create self appreciation.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. That's what it was for me. It was I didn't actively go there for that.
Yeah.
But once I walked through the door, it had me.
I think that links back to what you were saying about in terms of you didn't actually originally want to fight then, was it? Mm-hmm. So your training just kind of led to it, or how did you kind of make that transformation to actually stepping into the ring?
Again, I can't be in the gym just disrupting everybody. So and everybody else was there for a reason. They wanted to fight. Yeah. And so I had no choice. I had to fight. Otherwise, eventually I've got to drift out of the gym.
Yeah.
I had nothing else. And so I had 13 amateur fights. I only won 3. And I didn't care.
Yeah.
As I go to fight, I'd be holding on for dear life. I think, oh, I'd hold on for dear life. But I didn't care if I won or lost, where those guys are like, God, you are rubbish. God, you are. I'm like thinking, I don't care. but I had to fight to stay at the gym.
Yeah.
And so that was the downside. And so 13 amateur fights. I was in the gym from probably 14 to 17, and I'd not fought. I was just training all that and training. I loved the training. I loved trying to keep fit and everything. I hated the sparring. I hated being hit. There was a little guy, Trevor Sumner, who was up to there, and he used to batter me every time. Like, oh my God, I'm trying to grab all this guy. And everybody used to beat me up in the gym. And but that's where my friends were. I'd go home crying sometimes at night time. I'd be like, why am I going back to this place? But I still kept going back.
Yeah.
And I think there was that stubborn determination in me to just go back. And there's many times I'd be in the dressing room and before the fights and the amateurs, and I think, why am I doing this? Why not pick a sport like golf or football? And I'm going through it in my head in the dressing room before a fight, thinking you're an idiot, because the problem was I used to think upside down. So I was that nervous, I thought I was scared. And because everybody said I'm useless and I'm a coward, I believed I was scared. But I was actually nervous.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't understand why everybody else could do it and I couldn't. So I was just nervous. And nerves and fear feel very much the same until you understand what they are.
Yeah.
And then you'll understand the difference between nerves and fear. So for many years, I thought I was scared. I thought I was a coward. And it wasn't until I got into my 20s I thought, I'm actually not scared. I'm a pretty nervy guy.
Yeah.
And that's what it was.
And would you pinpoint that kind of realization as a bit of a turning point in your career?
Oh my God, yeah. But I had to go through a lot of ups and downs to realize that. Because I tell you, when I was British champion, and you look at a video of me as British champion going in there and winning it, that young man, he's terrified every time he gets into the dressing room. That young man that you're looking at, as in me, I'm like, God. And I never thought I was good. I just thought they were bad. You understand? So my thinking was upside down. I never thought I was a good fighter and getting better. I just thought the opposition was bad. And so there's many things, opportunities. I won the British title. I boxed in Sheffield for the world title for the first time. I drew. It was
in the City Hall.
In the Sheffield City Hall. I drew, but that was the best turning point in my life. But I still didn't believe in myself. I actually thought I was a coward.
What was it through these times that actually kept you going in terms of motivation? Because I know for a lot of people, if at the start of their kind of like fighting career or whatever, they lost a lot of fights, it'd be a bit of a like buzzkill for them. They'd be thinking, I don't know if I can keep on with it.
Yeah, but fighting wasn't. I didn't identify myself with fighting. So when I lost and when I didn't do well, I didn't think, that's me done. I went there, Brendan. I was inspired by Brendan. I was inspired by the stories you tell me. I was inspired by him talking to me. I was inspired by just watching and listening. And I'm very good at human behaviour. Brendan was brilliant at it. And I'm good at that now because of Brendan. And so I get it. He saw something in me that nobody saw. Not even my family. Nobody saw it. No, but not even my family. And I know my brothers and sister and my mum. But I was a crybaby. My sister could beat me up. So when I started boxing, they laughed.
Yeah.
Like you. And even when I became world champion, I'm still Johnny at home. So my sister and my brothers, they still laugh thinking, you. And they just can't get it. Guys in the gym that used to beat me up, they think, you! And they can't get it. And it's very hard to change your mindset on somebody when all you know them as something else. It's very hard to actually give them the respect due because of that.
How much attachment do you have to your Cruiserweight championship record? Because you are still, in fact, you had been champion for 4 years before me and Jacob were even born.
It's crazy.
And still to this day, recording this podcast, that record still stands that you were the longest reigning.
So again, some people, they identify their individuality. They identify their personality by what they've achieved. So in boxing, I didn't think I'm a boxer first and I'm Johnny after. I've always been Johnny that did a bit of boxing. So when I was defending my world title, it wasn't oh, I've got to keep this, I've got to set this record. I was just going through the motions. I've always been Johnny.
Yeah.
Because I got used to losing, I got used to winning, so I got used to people not actually respecting my boxing ability. I didn't respect it either. But so me as an individual, I'm me. So without boxing, I still exist. Some people can't walk around the road. You've got fighters that were champions, but they still want to carry themselves as a champion. They still want you to treat them like a champion, even though they've long retired. And that's a nightmare to live in. I've always been Johnny that did boxing.
Yeah.
I wasn't a boxer his name was Johnny.
Yeah.
So it's how I looked at it. So that upside down thinking actually works for me now. I've retired. So setting the record, I actually didn't realise I was setting a record. and then when I finished, he said, you've set a record of defence. I went, really? Because really what happens is as you're a fighter, you have two mentalities. You have the hunter's mentality and you have the hunted mentality. So when you're the hunter, you know what you're chasing. You want to be a world champion. You want to be the best. So you're looking at your target. You know what you're chasing after. So you've got something to get there. And everybody thinks that's the hardest bit to be champion. It isn't. The hardest bit is staying champion. That's when you've got a hunted mentality. So you've got nothing to look for, nothing to aim for, because you are the thing everybody's aiming for. Yeah. So now, as a champion, you've got to be intelligent enough and smart enough and responsible enough to devise a game plan that beats somebody that has been training for you for years. Training for that moment, training for that opportunity, had their sights on you the second you win a world title. So now you're the hunted. So the responsibility of being a champion is to be able to devise a plan that outbeats everybody who's been training for that for years. Yeah. And usually what happens is champions, when they become a world champion, they'll defend it the first time, they may get another defense the second time, they usually lose it the third time because their mindset has changed from being the hunter, knowing what you're after, to being the hunted. And when you're the hunted, it's very hard to still motivate yourself, to engine yourself to stay at the top, to fight like you're a wounded animal. Mm-hmm. So if you're a champion and you can fight with a hunter's mentality, you'll stay champion for a long time. Mm. And so for me, I had the hunter's mentality as I was champion because it wasn't. When I won the world title, I thought, is that it? I want more than this. Yeah. So it didn't quench my thirst. I wanted more, and I didn't know what it was, but I wanted more. So when I bought, I think maybe what I wanted was recognition to myself, to prove to myself I wasn't a coward. Yeah. Because everybody said it. I wasn't any good. Yeah, it was for me. It was no longer about everybody else. It was for me and Brendan. Yeah. So Brendan said I was his biggest success story. And when he used to say it in the gym, I'm like, Brendan, stop saying that to people because all the boys in the gym will pick on me. Look at Brendan's favourite, give me all that stuff. And it used to embarrass me a bit. But I understand what he's saying. He said it because a kid that had no confidence, no natural raw ability, no nothing, walked into a gym and had 13 amateur fights, only winning 3. He made me from scratch. So he's experienced all of that. I then turned professional, lost my first 3 fights on the trot, ended up being a world champion and defending it 13 times, setting a record of defences. Mm-hmm. So I always felt I've got to prove something to me now because of the rough beginning I came through, because of how people viewed me. So that's why I always had the hunter's mentality, even when I was a champion. I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder because I didn't think anybody really respected me. Yeah. And even now, I feel it's like I've got imposter syndrome when I'm sat around with I can remember I was sat we were in America. There was me, David Hay, Carl Froch. There was all these champions around me. And they were all talking about what they did in the amateurs. I'm thinking, oh my God, I shouldn't do this. That was me. Yeah. But not realising I set a bigger record of defences than all those fighters did. Yeah. The fights might not have been high profile. And then the reason why not high profile is because unless you've got another high profile fighter in your division, people aren't going to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. But some of the fights I had, they were against the wins were so unappreciated, and they were unappreciated because people thought, well, who is it? They didn't know enough about it. But if you've got 2 stars fighting each other like David Hay and Tony Bellew, oh my God, you're into it. Yeah. But then if I asked you to name 10, maybe 5 of Tony Bellew's opponents, you probably couldn't. You'd probably be able to name the ones that are really well known. Yeah. But so sometimes you don't get credit you deserve for fighting. And that was me. I was in that situation. But I was comfortable with me. So I didn't care if you guys didn't actually appreciate it, because I thought, I've come goddamn far. So and this is about, I don't need anybody to validate me. And Brendan taught me that. You talk about Lee Duncan and Brendan being your mentor. I saw Lee's change. You know, I saw when Lee walked in the gym. I saw how Lee was, and how he changed into who he is today. Very articulate, very sensible. He looks back, he'll look, he'll listen, he'll learn. And I watched Lee and I thought, he gets it. There's many people that walked in the gym that don't get it. Lennox Lewis came in our gym, and Brendan did what he normally does. He says stuff to you that are challenging to make you think. And if you stick around, you'll learn. And many people that have walked in the gym have left, and years later they think, God, I should have stuck around. Clinton Woods came in our gym, the former world light heavyweight champion from Sheffield. Brendan did the same to him, walked in. He said, can you read? Clinton said, can you write? I'm not stupid, you know. And so Brendan's wants you to think, wants you to use your brain and think on the spot. Can you sing? I'm not doing that shit. Left. You know, Brendan wanted Lennox Lewis to do the footwork. No, I ain't doing that. And he watched, left. But in down the long term, they think, God, he was just testing me. Being able to fight is not just physical; it's mental. Yeah. So you've got to work on the brain, and this is a transferable skill to life. You've got to work on the brain as much as you work on the body. Mm-hmm. The brain as in self-discipline. The brain as in you've got to value yourself. You've got to appreciate yourself. You've got to bring yourself up when you feel down. You've got to motivate yourself. Because the only person that gets you is you. When you close your eyes, no matter what you say to your parents, your friend, your best mate, whatever, you're the only one that fixes you. Now, even when I got that through the years of what I did in boxing. And what I would do is I used to go running with headphones on. I had a fight coming up. Yeah. And because I understood about confidence and building it up because of all the experience I went through, once I became champion and made all the mistakes and knew all the things I had to do to stay champion, I wouldn't run with earphones on. Because what happens is when you get your body fit and you're in a run, I bet you when you go on the running machine, you put your earphones on or music on, you can run faster, you can run longer, it's easier. And so you're distracting your mind from listening to your body. When you've got your an ache or your heart's pounding, you, oh my God, I'm shattered. You're distracting your mind because you want to do that a little bit further, but you're not training your mind. So the same run, the same discipline, if you do it and you make your mind listen to your body, have the argument, can I do this? I'm going to quit. You need to be in that doubtful moment to make your mind stronger, to win. Yeah. You need to put your brain in a position where it challenges itself, your own conscious, to say, I can do this. Because each time you succeed, each time you get better, you're training your mind to get stronger. And in those down moments. So, and it's like, I suppose it's like depression. You get up in the morning and you've got a way of thinking. You can either think positively or negatively. A lot of people go down the negative line because you think, and you'll go, and you'll know it's taking you. Or you can think, you know what, I can't do anything about yesterday. I can't do anything about tomorrow. I can do everything about today. Yeah. And it's a mindset. And you've got to go through that, set that mindset. Even now I've retired. I fast every Monday, not because I have to. I do it for that. For your mind, I do it because on a Sunday night I stop eating. I don't eat again till either Monday night 6 o'clock or Tuesday morning 6 o'clock. And I do that because I want to know I've got the mental discipline to beat my conscious. Because at times when I'm hungry and I'm thinking, oh my God, I could eat that. It smells so nice. Oh my God, I want this, I want that. And you're having an argument with yourself. You're thinking, shall I shan't? I'll do it tomorrow, I'll eat it today. Yeah. You've got to constantly test your mind because this is a transferable skill. If you get your mind to a point where you know you can do it, you know you can do whatever you want if you put your mind to it, then that knowledge is power. We can all say I can stop smoking if I want to, but we never really test ourselves. But once you know you can do it, that knowledge gives you so much power, strength, and you think, that's me.
Once you put that thought to action.
And so then it's a transferable skill. So if you put your mind to study and to say, I'm going to learn to do this, I'm going to try my hardest, but you know you can do it, or do you think you can do it? When you learn to think, you know what, I'm gonna. If you discipline your mind as much as you work your body, then you can do anything if you want it enough. And that to me, I can tell you how to what will make you become a champion. I can't show you. I can tell you the ingredients that are needed, but you've got to want it enough. So then you've got to prioritize what is happiness. What is it that makes me happy? Is it money? Is it cars? Is it houses? Is it holiday? They don't make you happy. These are goods that will give you a quick sugar fix.
Yeah.
But you're still thinking, what do I want? What is it that please me? Now you guys are doing this. You want to do this.
Yeah.
You have fun doing this. That's what makes you happy.
Yeah.
You understand? This is your happy place. So, and as you get older, you might think, oh, I'm getting a bit bored of that. I want something else. You want to make sure you don't have a temporary fix to give you that happy. Temporary fix is money. So you've got money, you buy whatever you want. Why would that make you happy? You've got everything you want. It makes life easier.
Yeah.
But it don't make you happy. I know a lot of sad rich men. But people think if I've got 5 cars, if I've got 5 houses, I've gone so many holidays, I've got all the clothes I want, they're happy. It doesn't. It just makes life easier.
Yeah.
So if you can identify what truly makes you happy, you'll always be rich. And you've got to understand, if you chase the right happiness, to think your life will always be rich. I'm not a rich man, but I'm rich in family. I'm rich in the things I want. You know, I think I want to do this and I can do it. I've got the mindset to do it. And so that does it for me. I don't get jealous or envious of others because I think, well, that's what you want. This is what I want. I'm all right. Could you imagine being Prince Nassim Hamid, or I'm thinking somebody else, David Beckham?
Yeah.
So David Beckham's a very, very wealthy man. Can't walk down the street without everybody on his case.
Yeah.
Can't live a normal life.
I saw that clip in the because he did a documentary recently, didn't he?
Yeah.
And it was like when his youngest son had just been born and he just signed for Real Madrid, and they're banging on the car window, thousands
so
of
in
Madrid
reality,
fans.
For a quick fix, you think, God, I'd love that everybody won an home. But in reality, can you imagine someone on your case every time, watching what you're doing, judging what you're doing, judging how you're dressed, judging your relationship, all that sort of stuff? Nobody wants that. No. So is he happy? That's not. So he's got to try and get his own fixes that make him happy. He's got his little beehive hut, and you're thinking, oh my God, that's a bit boring. But it works for him. It makes him happy. So what I say to people is, truly think about what makes you happy, and if that's your wealth. It's not material things. You've got to think in your head, what will make me happy? And so in my head, you know, when I became champion and when I was defending it, I was doing all the things that made me happy. The money actually didn't really matter. And it's easy to say, you get so many people saying it's not about the money. Of course, money makes life easy. But you've got to trade true. If you chase true happiness, you'll always be happy.
So something I wanted to touch on, like, which links back to in terms of you winning like the titles and stuff, was just satisfaction in general. How did you find yourself feeling satisfied, or at what point was it?
So basically, winning the title, and you could actually, if you actually watch after I won the title, what I said afterwards was not rehearsed. It was from the heart. It was passion. It was like, and winning the title, there was no better feeling. It felt like somebody lifted a weight off my shoulders, like an angel lifted a weight off my shoulders. My idea in my head was, be cool. Yeah. When you win the title, just walk around like some little badass, like you were going to do it. That was in my head. In reality, I dropped to my knees. Oh my God, I'm doing it, Mom. And in my head saying, Johnny, get up, you idiot, get up, be cool. And Dominic, you know, get up, Johnny, get up. And go. What my tears, yeah, I'm a bad man. But in reality, you know, winning the title meant more to me out of pure frustration because people doubted that I could ever do it. Yeah. I did it in a way that no one's ever done it, from zero to hero. I did it in a way that people didn't think it was possible to do. I paid Brendan back because when I failed, he failed. If I looked bad, he looked bad. And it reflected on him and all the hard work he'd done over the years. My failure reflected on his philosophy, his gym. And that was a big responsibility to be like the guy that's crucifying such a legacy. So once I won it, I felt so elated because I thought, yes, you know, I've done it. I've like ticked the box to say his system works. And that was, to me, it wasn't about me getting a belt. It wasn't about me making money after that. It was, I gave him something back. Yeah. And that's why I say it's not to me, that was my wealth, being able to give him something back. And it's very hard to explain, but that was my happiness. You understand? That was my, like, you know, I'll never be able to top that day again.
It's interesting because so you do a lot of motivational talks, don't you? I looked on your LinkedIn page and it seems like you're in Leeds or wherever else you're doing podcasts. And I'm just linking that to Lee as well. And it feels like both of you are almost carrying on Brendan's legacy and spreading that message to as many different people as you can.
Yeah, well, it is. You know, because I think to myself, you know, when you've seen an artist, an amazing artist, a singer, a painter, a musician, a politician, a spiritual leader, and when they die, you think all that knowledge, in my head, I think all that knowledge, all the information they've attained has gone with them. And so on their job, once you've got to go through experiences, both good and bad, to get wisdom. And we don't realize this. So when we say, God, I want this, he'll give you what you want. But remember, with good experience, you've got to experience bad experience. And when the people are going through a bad time, they're like, oh God, why me? Why is this happening to me? Because you asked for it. Because you want to be there. So to get there, you need the success, you need failures. You learn from the successes, you learn from the failures. So to get those two, you get wisdom. And then you're in a position of power. But what happens is, when people have had success and then they have failures, which is part of the learning, they give up and stop. And so they've left themselves in a negative deficit. They've not thinking, well, actually, I've gone through this for a reason. This has happened to me because I actually want to be the best. I want to be the smartest. How can you be the smartest when nothing but positive things happen to you? Because if you're the smartest, you need to understand what failure is, and you need to understand what success is, what they both feel like, and what they both do to you, and how they both affect you, your life, or whatever you're doing. That way, when you've got that is what is called wisdom. And wisdom is powerful because it's the only thing you can't buy, borrow, or pretend to have. And so when you've got wisdom, then you're in a position of power because you think, I'm not going to do that because this happens. I'm not going to do that and you're always learning. Because so if you all of a sudden you think, I don't need to know anymore, I know, oh, you don't, you're always learning. Yeah. So I embrace success and failure exactly the same. Because it doesn't get me down. I just think, all right, I'll fix it next time. And if I fail again, I'll fix it next time. And I'll find a way. And then once I've got it, I'm like, got it. But people around you, they've got to go through the same experience. And they'll say, well, how do you know? How do you know? I know because I've been through it. I've walked these shoes. I've been through the ups and downs.
Do you think there was a time where like, have you always been like that? Or was there something that flicked?
No, my experience in life, as eventually the penny dropped, I thought, idiot. When I look at fights of myself on TV, before I actually I got it, I knew that moment, when that moment came, I want to reach in the screen and bitch slap myself around the face and come on, Johnny boy, because I understand what that guy I'm seeing on TV is thinking. I remember what he was thinking at the time. So then I realised, I'm like, you know what? That was part of my learning. If I'd have won the world title the first time at Sheffield City Hall, I'd have lost it in my second, maybe third defence. And the reason being because I wasn't responsible enough or prepared for the responsibility. Because if I'd have won that title, then I'd have travelled to America, travelled all over the world. I was still that guy that actually didn't really believe himself. I thought everybody was rubbish and I wasn't good. You can't be a responsible champion that lasts forever, thinking everybody else is rubbish. You've got to think you're a god.
Yeah. You've
got to be arrogant enough that you can beat 7.888 billion people on this earth in your weight division. And that's a crazy arrogance, but you've got to have that. I didn't have that belief. I was a boy in a man's body. And so when I eventually won the world title, I knew I was the best in the world. And I didn't care if nobody believed it, I believed it.
Yeah.
But I had to go through failures, success. I had to have success snatched away from me. I had to go through the downs of failure to bring myself back up again. And so once you're there, you can look back and look at the bigger picture and think, shit, I did well there. And that's when the penny drops. That's when I got it. I think for me, the day I realised I could actually fight, and they weren't rubbish, and I was actually good, was the day I was away as a sparring partner in Lyon in France. Brendan sent me away almost 6 years, back and forth to Germany, all over Europe. Spent most of my time in East Germany. And I was sparring with a world champion in Lyon, in France, and this guy was the best in the world. He was officially a world champion. I was his sparring partner. I was this piece of meat that was flown out there to beat up every day. I had to survive, and this guy was like using me just sharpen his tools on. But I was beating him up every day. And I'm thinking, I've got to hold back a bit here because I'll get the sack. I'm getting paid £100 a day as a sparring partner. So I'm thinking, I've got to hold back a bit here because I don't want to get the sack. If I get the sack, then I don't get paid.
What weight was he fighting at?
He was the light heavyweight champion, but he was
Right.
walking around at about 14 stone, so he had to get down in weight.
Right.
We were around the same weight, but this guy was the best in the world. And I'm like, this ain't right. And I remember coming out of the gym, after beating him up, again, I'd go back to my dirty little bedsit, and he came out. There's a stretch limousine outside, chauffeur driven. His wife was in the back with a little white poodle sat in the back. And I came out of the gym first and looked at the car like, wow. I thought, that was cool, man. And then I heard a voice behind me, see you tomorrow, Johnny. And I turned around, it was Fabrice. I went, oh, see you. I thought, oh, wait, it's Fabrice. He got in the car, the chauffeur driven car, with a pretty woman in the back and a little white poodle and chauffeur driven, and drove off. And I'm stood there in the street in Lyon, and the clouds opened, it started pouring down the rain. I'm stood in the rain thinking, this ain't right. I've just battered him, and I'm walking in the rain back to that bedsit. This ain't right. And that was my eureka moment to say, Johnny, you're an idiot. What is the difference between you and him? The difference was he could perform in public and believed in his ability.
Yeah.
I didn't perform in public because I didn't believe in my ability. What have I got to do to make the penny drop and think I actually need to believe in my ability? If you're doing, and so then I thought about all the people I'd sparred with, all the places I'd been, all the condition I'd lived in as a sparring partner, which were terrible, and still came out on top. I got beat up one round in all the years in sparring as a sparring partner. The rest of the time I held my own, if not got the better of them. And I mean, these guys were world champions, but that day was the day that I thought, Johnny, you're an idiot. It was my eureka moment. And I stood on the side of the street, I thought, I'm never going to lose again. And that was my day of reckoning.
Nice.
That's an incredible story, Johnny. That is an incredible story. Something that I just personally wanted to ask you about is, I grew up with boxing. I used to box when I was younger. I used to watch all the big fights and stuff. But as I've gotten older, I've transitioned to being more of a UFC fan.
Yeah.
And something that I wanted to ask you about is that it seems, from someone who watches more UFC than boxing, that big boxing matches just seem impossible to make happen. And something that I think the UFC do really well is having like a one organization structure, like all the fighters under one roof, all managed by Dana White, the same guy. And it allows them to make the best fight the best. Like people talk about Mayweather and Pacquiao, that it should have happened years before for it to be more competitive. And fights like Joshua and Fury, which should have happened 3 years ago, and they're fights that we're never really going to get. What do you think about boxing politics and how it makes it harder for the different fighters, for the matchups to be made?
Well, it's called show business, and it's usually the business that ruins the show. And individuals profit from boxing. And I don't mean the fighters, of course, but I mean the promoters.
Yeah.
They profit from boxing. So if I've got you and you're my golden goose, and you sell tickets and fans come and watch you, I've got to keep you winning. And so therefore, and if somebody else has got you, and you're his golden goose and you're his fighter, I've got to keep you winning. So then these two businessmen think, I could actually do that fight, but one of us are going to lose. And if I lose my golden goose. So it's my best interest to make sure my fighter doesn't fight him, because he might beat him. Now, he's never going to say that publicly, a promoter, because the promoter's got to get the world to believe I've got the best fight in the world. And both fighters are doing that. So in doing that, then you create this, the boxing shoots itself in the foot, because there's so many different championship divisions that governing bodies that you can affiliate yourself, say, I'm the best in the world because I'm the WBC champion. No, I'm the best in the world because I'm the IBF champion. Boxing has gone on for many, many years. And I mean, it's got to do, at one time boxing was banned. We're like cockroaches. You get through anything and everything. Unfortunately, boxing is killing itself now because of the so many different governing bodies, and because of UFC, people are looking at UFC thinking, well, at least now I can identify who's the best there. If you go to anybody in the world and say who's the world champion at heavyweight, even if you're into boxing, you're thinking, well, who is it? Because you've got fighters out there. You've got Tyson Fury, Alexander Usyk, you've got Deontay Wilder, you've got Anthony Joshua, and so it's the one that you've got to. There's so many different governing bodies. It's not very often you get a unified champion that's got all the belts to say definitively he's the best in the world. So boxing shoots itself in the foot, and that's why boxing is going to struggle for a while until we come out of this darkness. And when we look at UFC, when we look at the YouTubers coming out that are more famous than a lot of the fighters, there's a thing called boxing snobbery. And so what happens is boxers look at these YouTubers, see these YouTubers getting paid ridiculous money, and they've got ridiculous fan base, and they're thinking, well, I've been doing it from being a kid, I'm better than him. But the thing is, what boxing now has to learn is they have to learn off the YouTubers and look at investing in themselves. They are their own commodity, they are their own business. But unfortunately, historically in boxing, you've been programmed to say the promoter, leave it to me, I'll promote you. That promoter's got 10, 20 fighters, and if you sell more tickets than him, I'll promote you more than I will him. But still, I'm hanging on saying, don't worry, I'll get it sorted out tomorrow. You know, this is the business side that ruins the show. Most fighters want to fight each other. But unfortunately, the promoters that are doing the talking are the ones that mess it up. They're the ones that say to this fighter, he don't really want to fight you, so just don't worry about him. It's not my fault. I tried my hardest to get the fight on. And then you go to this one, he didn't really want to fight you. I tried my hardest to get it on, so I've got this fight. They're keeping all of the golden goose. So unfortunately, boxing, it's killing itself. It's damaging itself in that, and it's going to take years for it to turn around, because it's very hard to make a living as a boxer now. But what's happening now is you look into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and by the time this podcast has gone out, we'll have seen what happened on the 23rd of December with Anthony Joshua boxing, Deontay Wilder fighting, you know, all these former champions on the same bill. And the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia have got a pot of gold, got ridiculous money to say, right, I'm putting this show on, and I want all the fighters in the world, I'm going to offer you all the money you want to fight on my show. So these businessmen, these promoters, like, damn it, I can't get out of this because he's made it public. He's getting paid ridiculous money. So if I mess this up, they're going to know, you know, I'm the problem, not you. So now all these promoters and all these egos are in the same room thinking, shit, I can't get out of this. There's no way. Now the promoters have got to listen to the boxers, because boxers that are worth their salt be saying, why am I not boxing on that bill? Why am I not in that mix? So these promoters now are making out, so yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do. The promoters hate it. They hate the fact this is happening because their golden goose is going to get turned over. Someone's golden goose is going to get snapped up. But publicly, they've given everybody so much BS to say no, it's this, why it's not. And now it's coming on. So what's happened in Saudi Arabia is actually the best thing that could have happened for now.
I was going to say, it's a bit of a catalyst that's like switched it up.
Yeah, the best thing that could have happened now. And the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the business model is mad. It's so good because, and financially they can do it. And the reason why is because they're not bothered about the fact that they're paying Ronaldo or David Beckham or whoever £3 million to sit ringside and watch the fight. You know, so it's like me having a party in my house saying, I'm putting the best party in the world, I'm going to pay you to come. So would you come if I wasn't paying you? And I'm quite sure all these people that have gone to this fight wouldn't have gone if they weren't being paid. But the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia thinking, we don't care.
Got the money to
We don't care, because what we're doing is, with you comes the attention. Because with Ronaldo being there, with David Beckham being there, with Eminem being there, with all these stars at ringside, all their fan base are going to think, oh my God, David Beckham's there, oh my God, Eminem's there. So they're all of a sudden going to watch what you're watching.
That, when Fury fought Ngannou and they had that photo of like the four levels of all the former champions, all the influencers
that's what I'm saying.
And that photo was everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was everywhere. And so all of a sudden, the whole world is now giving the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia exactly what they want. They want the whole world to see what they're doing, to see what they're achieving. And so, unfortunately, because of the history of countries, people say, oh, you don't go there, forget X, Y, Z. For people to change, you've got to give them a chance to change. You've got to give them a chance to actually have a look. We're not who you say we were. We've changed. You know, our philosophy, our mindset, our governing has changed. And so, but the propaganda machine, you know, the politics say, no, you don't want to go there, it's terrible there. But you don't know. You know, and so the King of Saudi Arabia said, right, we want the whole world to see what we're doing. And what they're doing is actually good for boxing. And it's setting precedent now. Whereas it's getting rid of the foolishness, the hustlers, the promoters that are trying their hardest to not make their golden goose fight the other golden goose. It's the best thing that could happen.
Good stuff. Right, I'm saying that we might have to cut it there, even though, do you know what? I could sit and listen. I could sit and listen to you talk all day. Honestly, we are so
pleasure to have you on today.
We're so grateful to have you on. Thank you, Johnny.
We'll do it again,
I really appreciate it.
When you're ready.
Of course.
See you later.
Of course. Good stuff.
Good.
What's it called? The pod?
Progress with us.
Progress with us.
Check out Progress with us. An interesting talk, an interesting chat. I'm Johnny Nelson. You know what? I've had a great time. These boys are bang on. Get involved.
Top man, Johnny. Thank you. We appreciate it.